I'm Corporal Christiana Halsey. This week on Navy Marine Corps News, a new submarine is unveiled in Connecticut. Seawolf makes its debut. Marines in 29 Palms, California make some home improvements. And the Navy's Blue Angels get ready to take to the skies for the '95 season. Join me and Petty Officer Clint Robertson for these stories and more on Navy Marine Corps News. This week on Navy Marine Corps News, the world gets its first look at the Seawolf submarine. Marines in 29 Palms, California make some home improvements, and the Navy's Blue Angels get ready to take to the skies for the 1995 season. Stay tuned for these stories and more next on Navy Marine Corps News. Welcome to Navy Marine Corps News. I'm Corporal Christiana Halsey.
And I'm Petty Officer Clint Robertson. Chief Petty Officer Herb Josie is on assignment. The Navy unveiled a new breed of attack submarine at the Electric Boat Shipyard in Groton, Connecticut. After years of existing only as an artist's conception and blueprints, Seawolf is now a reality.
Started in 1989, the Seawolf class is the newest submarine designed since the 1960s. Its capabilities will bring submarine warfare into a new era.
This submarine will have great speed, robust firepower, multi-mission capability to operate in all waters of the world, and will be substantially quieter than any submarine previously built.
Seawolf's crew is actively involved in finishing the submarine. The all-volunteer, hand-picked crew must test and operate equipment that has never been proven at sea.
We also act as technical experts on a lot of the systems. To go between the construction guys and the engineers, we're the people who run the ship and run the equipment. So when we start doing the testing, we run into problems. We sit down with those individuals and say, well, let's try this. And it's really a crew full of problem solvers that we have here.
The Seawolf class goes beyond the Los Angeles class submarine in technology and capabilities. Relatively minor improvements were made between other classes of subs, but for the Seawolf, things were different.
With the Seawolf, the designers had a complete blank sheet of paper to start from the beginning. They haven't had a chance like that since we really built Nautilus. So they've had a chance to add really a lot more warfighting capability, especially in today's multi-mission environment.
You know, Chris, although the Seawolf is slightly shorter and wider than the 688s, it's still 3,000 tons heavier.
That's a big submarine, but most importantly, it's quicker, quieter, and more capable. And that's the bottom line for submariners out there.
Well, another bottom line in the Navy today is the importance of quality of life improvements for sailors and Marines. A commitment to quality of life improvements has consistently been a top issue for Secretary of the Navy John Dalton. This commitment was recently displayed in Hawaii when he broke ground on one of the largest housing projects in Navy history. Petty Officer Brian Kaiser reports.
Family housing in Hawaii needed a facelift for a long time. Most of it was constructed during World War II, and because of the poor condition, Secretary of the Navy John Dalton is pushing a $174 million project that will start from scratch.
Glad that somebody's finally actually doing something about housing. It's improving where people are living. It's helping the community more.
After his last visit to Hawaii a year ago, the Secretary of the Navy took a personal interest in improving Hawaii's housing. It was his wife's concerns that prompted him to set the groundwork for the new housing project.
She came to tears telling me about it, and she said, "We cannot let our people live in that type of housing." I said, "I agree."
The new housing project will rebuild more than 2,000 homes, but that's only the beginning. The Navy will spend an additional $500 million to revitalize 3,000 homes in the next 7 years. But for the Secretary, quality of life doesn't stop with housing.
It means health care, it means dollars for MWR funds, it means ability to take care of children, things that are important to individuals and the way they live their lives is what quality of life means.
In order to find out what's important to sailors, the Secretary enjoys visiting with them every chance he gets.
It's important for me to hear from them firsthand. I like to ask sailors what's on their mind, what we can do to improve the Navy, talk to our Marines like I'm going to be doing tomorrow, and hear from them directly.
This just proves that they're working both ways, coming up from the top down to the bottom and asking questions.
With this new housing project, the Navy is realizing once again that it's the people that make the Navy and Marine Corps what they are. Petty Officer Brian Kaiser, Pearl Harbor.
You know, Clint, and it's great to see all the changes on the horizon for the housing in Hawaii, and it means that it will be just that much more an attractive duty station. I wouldn't mind going there myself.
No doubt. Wax up your surfboard and hang 10.
Definitely.
But Hawaii is not the only place where changes are occurring. In Great Lakes, Illinois, the Navy boot camp has also experienced changes, and as Petty Officer Bill Miles reports, they've had a positive impact on the Navy's newest sailors.
These sailors at Recruit Training Center Great Lakes are experiencing some new changes, an improved curriculum for new recruits.
It incorporates more hands-on training, which we hope they will carry with them to the fleet, so they will be more ready to step in and do a job right from the start rather than having to be trained.
That hands-on training starts with the M16 rifle.
So they wanted to add something in to help that little attention to detail, and the M16 was the perfect tool. With all the little intricate pieces, it works out pretty nice.
The new sailors take pride in handling a real weapon.
They enjoy having this rifle. It's something different instead of just the old average folding and stowing clothes back when I was in boot camp.
You know, it's something that everybody should try, and it helps you a lot, learn different things.
How does it help you?
Well, physical part, that's one thing, and then you get to learn about, you know, all about M16s, and that's something you might not ever get to do.
Besides real rifles, another new item for recruits is this confidence course being built by Seabees. It will become part of the new improved physical training program. This confidence course, or obstacle course, will include shipboard-type events such as going through hatches and climbing a Jacob's ladder. It will become part of the program that has expanded the time recruits work on fitness.
I would say a lot more than they have in the past, because I mean, before CCs would try to squeeze it in whenever they could, and having a chance to have the drill halls open at specific times when they can come in PT has really helped a lot.
All the drill halls are now open for PT 4 hours a day, and recruits receive structured training from fitness coordinators. Training they seem to want.
I used to play basketball in college and in high school, and I really came here for the physical part.
I think it's great. You have to be physically fit to be into the military at all. It'd be ridiculous if you weren't physically fit. You couldn't do half of the chores, I guess you could say, that were tasks put upon you.
Another area of concentration in the new curriculum is naval history.
Significant development at that time.
One of our major items that we did an upgrade on was naval history. We teach naval history to instill pride in the new recruit and help them in their transition from civilian to sailor.
And these new recruits are in the right place to learn how to be sailors.
This is a place where you need to build teamwork, understand what the word shipmate means, learn to care about and take care of your fellow sailors. All of these changes are meant to do just that.
The first recruits to train under this new curriculum recently graduated. And their guest speaker graduated from here himself 39 years ago.
All you need to do to have a good career is to be able to look in the mirror each morning and say, yesterday I did my best. If you just do that, all the rest will take care of itself. I'm living proof of that, and you can be too. God bless you, have a great career in the Navy, and have as much fun as I did.
And the new changes at boot camp will help prepare recruits to be the best sailors they can be. Reporting from boot camp in Great Lakes, I'm Petty Officer Bill Miles.
Seeing that story, Clint, does that bring back some memories for you?
It sure does, but recruit training has changed a lot since I went through 4 years ago. But the changes being made now to recruit training are designed to help better prepare sailors for the fleet.
Well, when we return, sailors aboard USS Savannah are treated to some down-home hospitality in Savannah, Georgia for St. Paddy's Day.
And Marines in 29 Palms, California make their television debut on the hit TV show Home Improvement.
Stay with us.
We'll be right back with the Marine Corps and the Navy News right after.
When I was young, I discovered music and practiced to become a musician. Later, I joined the Navy and became an officer and learned about discipline and teamwork and doing your best. Then playing pro ball, the dream of a lifetime. These are the things I love. These are my choices. But none of them would have come true if I hadn't made an important decision a long time ago. I don't do drugs. That's what's worked for me. Think about it.
Welcome back to Navy Marine Corps News. For Marines in 29 Palms, California, seeing tanks rolling across the desert is commonplace, but not when the tank is driven by actors from the hit TV show Home Improvement.
The stars went out to the California desert to get some hands-on technical assistance from the Marine Corps for an upcoming show. Tim Allen and Patricia Richardson, better known as Tim and Jill from ABC's hit comedy Home Improvement, visited 29 Palms, California and met on the battlefield for the ultimate race.
Now remember, the objective is to maneuver through the course without knocking over any pylons.
Now let's be realistic. Two of TV's most popular stars driving more than 67 tons of equipment? No way, it'll never happen.
I was sure I was going to kill someone. I really envisioned going over the equipment, killing a few crew people, maybe a few Marines on the way. I don't know. I don't even drive a car very well. I've never driven a motorcycle, and it's all sort of like a motorcycle with the throttle. So I was very, very nervous about it.
Of course, after they let me do this, I said, now, of course, you can't get these in any trouble, can you? You go, well, yes, you can. You don't want to flip it. I go, well, flip it? Can you actually flip it? And they said there's all sorts of things you can do if you don't do your job right.
But thanks to the Marines from the 1st Tank Battalion at 29 Palms, everything went just fine. The Marines spent the entire day working with the crew, explaining how to maneuver the tanks.
It's not been too bad so far. We have a little bit of problem where they have their own way of talking, movie talk, and we have our Marine talk, so it gets a little confusing at times, but so far we've managed to iron out most of the glitches out of it.
There's a parking brake in here.
I think that a lot of them were relieved to be able to watch us today instead of what they normally do.
They teach you how to adjust the seat?
Yeah. Where is it?
There should be a black knob right on your left by your knee.
Okay, now isn't this right? Do I have to put it down? Or we're not going to drive it sitting up?
No, you're not going to, yeah, you are, but you're not going to drive it on this take.
It's something we don't get to do very often, and I think it's a good chance for us to show some of the people in America exactly what the Marine Corps, sometimes we do serious things, and sometimes we relax and do some other things like this.
The time had come. Could Jill pull it off? Would Tim make it through the course alive?
He gets very mad because I do better at this than he does. And I want to be able to really celebrate that I did well at it. I want to be able to go out there and say, and tell everybody about it. And I'm really excited about having done this and having done it well. And I'm not necessarily telling anybody about how badly he did. I just want to talk about how well I did. And he gets really mad about that, and his little male pride thing is hurt.
I have more fun. See, I get to open up. She goes by the rules as usual, and but she's one of the few women that's ever driven a tank, which I understand. And she did it real well, and she actually got into it. And yes, she does. She stuck by the rules, did the obstacle course like she was supposed to. And I said, I think I want to open this up a little bit, and end up getting in a little trouble.
Now, if you're wondering how it all ends, you'll have to watch the show in September. But until then, Tim says you can come on out to his Marine Corps base and check it out for yourself.
Well, I just bought the base, actually. I just went and bought the base. It's now Tim's Marines. This one base is just going to be mine. And I'm going to paint the tanks my colors, put my little head on all of them. So we'll have something to shoot at from now on.
What a great opportunity, and I understand that Jill even asked if you would like to drive a tank.
She did, and I was going to take her up on the offer, but I was afraid that I would have flipped one of the tanks, but we still had fun anyway.
Well, California Marines aren't the only ones having a good time. St. Patrick's Day in Savannah, Georgia is home to one of the biggest St. Patty's Day celebrations on the East Coast. And as Chief Petty Officer Herb Josie reports, sailors aboard the Norfolk-based oiler USS Savannah got a chance to be part of the action during a final port visit to its namesake city.
USS Savannah and its Georgia namesake have built a strong bond over the years. The city hosted the ship one last time at its biggest party of the year, St. Patrick's Day. Savannah sailors welcomed residents on board for tours while lending a helping hand in the community.
People in the city realize that this is the last opportunity for them to see USS Savannah and for her to visit, and it is in fact our last port visit that we will conduct before we commence our decommissioning stand-down.
While sailors prepared the ship for display one last time, the port visit was on everyone's mind.
That'll leave the city and the history books with something to remember us by, so that we'll go down in the annals of history as being the proud Savannah, having a good time and doing our job at the same time.
The city's parade offered another opportunity for the crew to have some fun and put its best foot forward. And the people of Savannah kind of like sailors in uniform. But the visit wasn't just street parties and kisses. Savannah sailors shared a few skills of their own, scraping and painting the home of a single father with 6 children.
There's a lot of organizations willing to donate the equipment and everything, but it's hard to get people to come out here to do the physical work. That's exactly what the Navy is doing here.
It's, nice helping out the community here. They've done a lot for us down here. A lot of hospitality, and nice to be able to give back to them a little.
The end of Savannah's port visit left both crew members and local residents with a lot of good memories and a fond farewell. For Navy Marine Corps News, Chief Petty Officer Herb Josie.
You know, Chris, not a lot of people know just how big the St. Patrick's Day celebration is in Savannah.
It looks like a lot of fun. I want to get that green hair like that one guy had.
I dyed my hair green once.
And only once? Well, sailors aboard USS Cowpens are taking extra measures to ensure the safety and health of the crew, especially when it comes to back injuries. Petty Officer Ron Flanders explains.
USS Cowpens Sailors from 1st Division start any heavy lifting task by putting on back braces. They're not standard Navy issue, but their command went the extra mile to ensure the health of Cowpens crewmen.
First, we know the statistics. We know that back injuries are one of the most common occupational injuries that occur. And also, one sailor being injured of ours is too many. We want to prevent that from happening on our ship.
And whether it's deck department sailors moving heavy metal objects or ship servicemen lifting a case of sodas, Cowpens sailors don't take any chances.
The idea is you want to prevent problems. You don't want to wait till people get hurt, then try to correct it. You want to correct it before it happens.
Well, it's not a matter of say it's going to happen in one day. It's more like after a couple years. If you're in here for a couple years, and it does take its toll on your back. Having those night cramps in your back, I get those a lot. I've been wearing this brace for about 2 weeks now. I've seen the difference. It does help a lot.
Navy medical officials are also deeply concerned over lost man hours due to back injuries.
I think what the Cowpens doing is a great idea. That I think that brace is going to set as a good reminder when these individuals are doing high-risk activities. But what goes along with that also is they still need to be aware of posture, that you can still use a back brace improperly. But again, I think that what they're doing is great, that it's more of the preventative thing, which is what we're really trying to push.
How do Cowpens sailors really feel about wearing those funny-looking braces?
I think it's a good idea. I give it a thumbs up. Cisco and Ebert, here comes McDowell.
Petty Officer Ron Flanders, San Diego.
We'd like to thank Chief Warrant Officer Bill Eisnogel from the USS Cowpens for calling our feedback line and giving us that story idea.
When we come back, it's out to El Centro, California, where the Navy's Blue Angels are gearing up for the 95 air show schedule.
And a sailor aboard USS Independence took his hobby one step further. Stay tuned.
Navy Marine Corps News will be right back.
compete, you've got to be strong. To win, you've got to be smart. Maybe you can be one of us, the few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back. The Blue Angels are gearing up for their new season. They've been busy this winter fine-tuning their show in El Centro, California.
Petty Officer Ron Flanders went there to get a sneak preview and find out what the Blues have in store for the new year.
Brakes now.
Commander Donnie Cochran is in a position we'd all like to be in, flying the #1 jet for the Blue Angels. And as you just saw, their death-defying precision flying is simply amazing. But there's more to the Blues than aerial stunts. Commander Cochran places a lot of importance on the team's mission, recruiting.
The primary mission of the Blue Angels is to enhance naval recruiting and also to credibly represent the men and women of the Navy and Marine Corps. I think those are two significant reasons why the Blue Angels are about. We have an opportunity to perform air shows in a number of locations that you can't bring a ship or a submarine. So by taking our aircraft out to middle America, you might say, we're able to demonstrate what the Navy is all about. Oh, morning, Chief. How you doing?
Not too bad, Skipper.
This is his second tour with the Blues. Commander Cochran flew with them from '86 to '88, and his outstanding performance as CO of Fighter Squadron 111 in San Diego earned him a return selection to the team, this time as flight leader. The team's enlisted crew members, also handpicked from the fleet, seem to thrive under Cochran's leadership. Despite the constant pressure that the Blues must deal with, the environment at their winter training facility is loose.
We need to get the job done, but he wants us to have as much fun as we can while still doing a good job. He realizes that this period here, January through March in El Centro, is the toughest of the year. Working 6 days a week, flying 2 to 3 times a day is pretty tough. And he wants to keep everybody on the high side of life.
The past 48 seasons have been nothing short of spectacular for the Blue Angels. Commander Cochran will be in charge of them for the next 2. So you can bet the Blues will continue to thrill crowds in '95 and '96. Petty Officer Ron Flanders, El Centro, California.
You can catch the Blue Angels at an air show near you because the 1995 tour has already begun.
Well, here's a quick look at where you can see the Blue Angels in action over the next couple months. And you know, Clint, the Blue Angels performances are a great way for the smaller communities to catch a glimpse of what the Navy's all about.
That's true because a lot of Midwestern communities virtually have no contact with the Navy.
And while many surface sailors also spend a lot of time working in their communities around the country. Petty Officer Tom Crydell tells us about a motivated group of sailors in Norfolk who set the pace when it comes to helping others.
Sailors aboard USS Bainbridge spent the latter part of January doing what they do best, volunteering their time to help community action groups in the Virginia Hampton Roads area. The Bainbridge Sailors took part in a 4-day community outreach week that saw over half of its crew participate in different community projects. The Bainbridge crew has been doing this type of volunteering for the last 2 years. According to these sailors, one reason for their continued service is simple. They enjoy helping their neighbors.
What I get out of it personally is that you get to see exactly what you contribute to the community. You get to see the results immediately. You don't have to wait around or read about it. You see the kids smile, you see everyone involved, and you get to see the results right away.
During visits to the Lafayette Winona Middle School, sailors spent time helping students with their studies.
Our lives have been enriched through their involvement. They have come into the building and they have volunteered in any way that we feel that we need some help.
While some sailors helped out at the school, others worked here at this food bank. With over 200 crew members volunteering, this group has no problem being in 2 places at once. Volunteers sorted out boxes of food for the areas less fortunate.
It gives us a chance to get out and see the community. It gives us a chance to, do something positive and help others that are less fortunate than we are.
At a Norfolk Boys Club, volunteers tell students about the dangers of drugs.
When I say just say, you say no. Just say no. Just say no.
then take to the court for some friendly competition that they feel helps build friendship and trust with the boys.
Well, the kids get to see positive role models. They get to see people who look like them and that come from the same type of community that they did, and they get to see that there are educational and rewarding opportunities with the Navy.
For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Tom Kreidel, Norfolk.
Shipboard sailors usually find many constructive ways to pass the time when they're not working or on watch, but finding a hobby that they can do aboard a ship can be a challenge.
But for one sailor aboard USS Independence, he's taken his hobby of model building one step further. Petty Officer Tony Lopez has the story.
Petty Officer Ryan Spencer is taking into his own hands a project. Without a model kit, armed only with wood, plexiglass, the ship's layout, and his imagination, he's building a mini Indy.
I like to build models. I've done a lot of construction, and I figured building the project would be a nice representation of the Independence to preserve the history.
The ship's MWR paid for the building materials. The rest of the work, the planning and building, came from Petty Officer Spencer.
Well, I was able to obtain the actual drawings and plans from the ship and also SRF. I sat down, configured all the measurements, and converted everything over to 1/72nd scale.
His 1 to 72nd scale equates to 14 feet. So in addition to the ship, he and a couple of petty officers who helped build Mini Indy planned the size of aircraft and airmen to scale also. Of course, from the beginning, curious shipmates were checking out the progress.
I remember when it was just a bunch of wood piled up somewhere, and next thing you know, we got all the shapes and then the molding and stuff like that. It come along real good, man. But the big thing I'm waiting to see is the island get put on here, and that's gonna really set this ship off.
The primary technique for the realism to be created was basically the paint job. The most major part of the detail came when I tried to airbrush little black streaks, little rust marks, not to make the ship look extremely beat, to show an actual working carrier as it actually is.
Petty Officer Spencer finished Mini Indy as planned in just over a year. The crew had a chance to see close up the detail and craftsmanship that Petty Officer Spencer put into his model. Realism realized in this really big recreation of a really big ship. For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Tony Lopez.
Looks pretty realistic, doesn't it? Right down to the weathering detail.
It sure does, but I don't think he realized trying to fit the entire crew on the model.
Well, that's our show for this week. I'm Clint Robertson.
And I'm Christiana Halsey. Next week, we'll return to 29 Palms, California, and introduce you to some of the most deadly Marines in the world.
And submariners and scientists in Hawaii prepare for a unique mission to the North Pole aboard USS Cavallo.
We'll hope you'll join us for these stories and more. And we'd like to thank those of you who have called or emailed our feedback line with your comments and suggestions. Please keep them coming.
We'll close this week by returning to 29 Palms, California, where Marines show their stuff on the battlefield, edited by Petty Officer John Charlton. Have a great week.
Can you look to your right at all and see if you can hear?
Yeah, Tim was asking about that earlier.
Parking brake.
Where's the radio?